Hi everyone, this is Perfume Coast, so welcome to my channel. Today's podcast will be dedicated to my 10 fragrances for life because one of you asked me to do it. So it's quite hard actually, as you may know, to come up with just 10 of them. So initially I came up with 20 fragrances and then obviously I had to cut down the list significantly. So in the next 20 to 25 minutes you're about to hear about sort of compilation of my fragrances for life for now, because one disclaimer would be that of course it may fluctuate, plus I'm now in the sort of transitional season from autumn to winter, so I might be impacted as well as far as choice is concerned. So without further ado, let's jump into the ocean of perfumes. And the first perfume I'd like to introduce you as my number one, although the list is not in the order of appearance, would be Dama Bianca by Xerjoff, and this would be part of Casamarati line. So on the top, according to Fragrantica, as far as this one is concerned, would be kumquat and lime. In the middle there's violet, Italian iris, lilac, Egyptian jasmine, and lily of the valley. And finally in the base there's vanilla, malt, white musk, ambrette, sandalwood and cedar. I guess I can safely say it's my favorite vanilla scent in my collection. It's very realistic, and whilst being very easy to wear, you really appreciate high quality of materials and naturally smelling gourmand style. So to me it's photorealistic crystallized sugar powder mixed in with some vanilla dessert territory, such as vanilla panna cotta, minus any milky or creamy faucets perhaps. It's sweet, vanilla forward and powdery scent that to me smells very similar to a very popular Kayali Singh Santal in fact. Strangest thing is that when I received this fragrance, and it was a blind buy of 30 ml, I nearly sent it back as I could hardly smell any vanilla for some reason initially. But then, guided by my husband's advice, fortunately I gave it another go, and now it is what it is, my favorite vanilla. So the fragrance apparently makes reference to a famous dessert of vanilla ice cream with dark chocolate sauce, having same name obviously, but to me it's not that. As again, I do not necessarily smell any thickness of ice cream or chocolate, but rather something dainty, fairy-like, ethereal, but pretty consistent nonetheless. So next fragrance is another popular one in the fragrance community. So this one is by the house BDK, and this one is no other as Creme de Cuir. So let's get reminded of the notes that this one is having according to Fragrantica. So what we've got on the top would be a pineapple, grapefruit, bergamot, mandarin orange. In the middle there's white suede, sandalwood, pink pepper, black pepper. And finally in the base there's cashmere, vanilla, white musk, grey musk and birch. So similar story here, exacerbated by the fact that I actually sent this fragrance back. That time around it was a present, because all I could smell was this black pepper accord for some reason. And then I continuously was hearing all these positive reviews claiming bright pineapple and suede notes. And so one day during good discount days, I pulled the plug and purchased it. And you know what? I loved it and still do very much so. So this is your spicy, totally unisex fragrance, starting off with citrusy pineapple amped up with pepper notes. At the same time, suede is sort of lingering in parallel. And as the scent develops, suede note never gets darker and remains quite creamy and subtle. But nonetheless, in the end, to me, it's suede forward scent with an unusual undertone of pineapple that's also bright and not sweet. Gorgeous release overall. So next up is yet another popular fragrance, and you may think the whole lineup consists of those popular stars, but wait and see, guys. So this one is called, of course, Angel Shea, and this is by house Kilian. So according to Fragrantica, what we're dealing here with would be cognac on the top. In the middle there's cinnamon, tonka bean, oak and Hideon. And finally in the base is vanilla, praline, sandalwood and candied almond. So this perfume to me developed quite differently from the previous two. This was my love at first sniffed, and I had to have this perfume right away, so much so that I ordered right away 100 ml. So this is to me straight away my delicious cinnamon heavy freshly baked apple pie. even though, of course, there is no apple note among the notes. I can specifically smell both freshly baked pastry and syrupy, slightly acidic baked apple. Perhaps all this is delivered by a cinnamon accord. This is such a beautiful and loud scent for our festive season, giving me the vibes of Halloween, as well as Christmas and New Year holidays. It's everything we smell when we walk down decorated flashy streets and Christmas markets, anticipating festive parties full of delicious presents, desserts, spicy cocktails, and mulled wines. It's apple doughy, cinnamony, boozy, and spicy fragrance. It's immediate mood booster during colder seasons. It's so niche and cleverly crafted that it's still remaining extremely easy to wear and popular in the fragrance community, as said before. It's delicious, uplifting, taking us down the memory lane of all the pleasant events, even past all the winter holidays. So, and to keep up with my extremely popular lineup so far, we're having another popular release of Parfums de Marly house, and this one is called Oriana. So let's dive into the notes of this one that Fragrantica is coming up with. So on the top we've got mandarin orange, bergamot and grapefruit. In the middle there's orange blossom, raspberry and black currant. And finally in the base there's marshmallow, whipped cream, musk and ambrette. So this one is yet another still popular one up to date that's easy to like as well. It's an orange blossom forward fragrance where orange blossom note is clean and sweet, and it's also interesting how these qualities come about. You know how orange blossom can be. It can be your clean laundry detergent-like scent, slightly synthetic one even, or it can be left entirely to its natural devices, so to speak, being this sweet, honey-like but quite indolic scent. So this one starts as a very naturally smelling orange blossom, but only for seconds really. Far before this scent reaches any carnal territory, sweetness blocks any carnal or indolic features completely. And this sweetness is interesting in itself, being this play-doughy fruity quality delivered here by notes of raspberry and marshmallow apparently. And when I make a reference to a play-doh resemblance, I also mean that deliciously sweet-smelling plastic that baby dolls were made of sometimes back in 80s or early 90s. I know it may sound terrible, but that's what this scent contains a bit of to me. And to me it's such a comfort territory that, caters to my appetite for my slightly sweet gourmand orange blossom, and at the same time reminiscent obviously of the childhood associations. So next up we've got less popular fragrance this time around. So this one is by House Mizensir and it's called Luxury. So this one has been featured for quite a few times in my videos or podcasts. But first thing first, let's dive into the notes that Fragrantica is listing here. So on the top we've got orange blossom, bergamot. In the middle there's iris and ambroxan. And finally in the base there's white musk, Tahitian vanilla, benzoin and tonka bean. So this one was, as said before, featured a few times in my previous podcasts, and I'm still surprised that literally no one talks about it. So this one, it's your powdery bed that's so elegant, classy and unique, but without being quirky or difficult to understand. The powdery quality here is very addictive and it contains quite a powdery texture, but at the same time this fragrance has fluidity to it, so to speak. It almost has texture of a suede or rather a heavy, luxurious velvet. And that red, I would say, velvet texture rests on a bright, juicy and sparkly undertone. While giving off mature vibe, it doesn't contain any vintagey undertone in the slightest. So it's non-sweet, suede, velvety fragrance having this juicy, citrusy backbone. This way, coming across as unisex if amplified powderiness is something you do not mind. But again, this powder is far from being baby powder. It's quite unique, giving me the imagery of this dense velvet curtain in opera house, and you're wearing your citrusy, sparkly perfume. So another unique point here is that this scent can be worn both to the office, which I do quite often, by the way. In this case, it does come across a bit of ladylike perfume, but go easy on the spray, please, as it's really a powerhouse. Or alternatively, you can certainly wear this one as an evening occasion, such as theatre performance. Why not? So next up is another release which I hear of every now and then in the men's fragrance community, but unfortunately not in the ladies community. So which notes are we having here? Let's see. So according to Fragrantica, what we're dealing here with is quite a multitude of notes. So on the top there's Amalfi lemon, tangerine, bergamot and petitgrain. In the middle there's mint, lily of the valley and rose. And finally in the base there's musk, Virginia cedar, patchouli and amber. So this one is another slightly underrated perfume. Again, as I said, especially in ladies' fragrance community. And it is such a pity, really. This fragrance is a beautiful and very unisex fragrance, and by this I mean very much wearable by us ladies. Its key uniqueness is that this scent is all about citrus profile, specifically mandarin orange, but being citrus, its longevity is all day and more, without compromising its sparkliness and effervescent quality. So without being taken down by any heavier accords, although there is amber in it, it retains this fluffy, slightly sweet citrus that's very juicy, and it contains also both tangerine's juicy pulp and its rind as well. Because that's how we smell and what we smell when we peel our fresh citrus fruit, giving off this extremely sparkly, slightly bitterish faucets. And so it remains basically until you take a shower, which is again highly unusual for a fresh citrus perfume. It also has this enormous scent trail and sillage. Basically, it will remain in the room for a while after you've left it. But above all, it's such a realistic tangerine and, rind impression that's extremely juicy, effervescent, and a touch sweet, just enough to counteract photorealistic acidity of our tangerine. Beautiful scent that will hopefully find its place in the hearts of many more fragrance fans eventually. So next up, we've got another release which I just love. So this one is by Van Cleef Arpels, and this one is called Neroli Amara. So very quickly, let's dive into the notes yet again. So according to Fragrantica, on the top we've got bergamot, mandarin orange, Italian lemon and pink pepper. In the middle there's orange blossom, cypress, pear and black pepper. And finally in the base there's neroli and white musk. So this one is probably the most elegant neroli fragrance in my collection. It's often been compared to Valaya or Fleur Narcotique, and it's true to a certain extent. But this one to me has a few distinct advantages. First of all, whilst being quite long-lasting and strong, it's more polite and well blended in my view. Also, it's far from, it's also a lot more affordable. That's what I'm trying to say. So this fragrance is your neroli where nothing really sticks out. It's moderately sweet, moderately citrusy. Neroli is not overpowering here at all, although obviously it's very much present in here. Any potential carnal floral features are not in the picture either. So it's an extremely elegant blend that gives off something translucent, clean, touch sweet, definitely neroli forward, and for once being nothing but a perfume, but so classy and elegantly toned down whilst not being bland or boring. The one, fit for princess, I'd say. So next up is yet another brilliant release. So this one is called Neroli à la Cardamome de Guatemala by the brand Chopard. So, and very quickly, let's have a look at the notes that this one is having. So according to Fragrantica, what we're dealing here on the top with would be neroli, mandarin orange. In the middle there's orange blossom and Guatemalan cardamome. And finally in the base says ambrette and white wood. So this one has a pretty easy explanation of being in my top 10 fragrances for life. It's a better blended and brighter alternative to Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. It's also more affordable. I personally enjoy this profile so much, and Neroli Portofino is no exception here, of course. It's simply great. But this one I like a lot more. The way I describe this scent would be take Neroli Portofino, amp up a bit Neroli freshness, add a bit of spice, as in cardamome, prolong longevity, and you'll get this one. Similar to Tom Ford's release, it's so effortlessly great and uplifting. It's your, if you like, 4711 cologne, but also so much more, where clean Neroli is brilliantly blended with citruses, and the result would be this slightly spicy white floral citrusy release, where once again nothing really jumps out or claims supremacy, which I just love. So next up is another interesting but straightforward release, I would say. So this one is by House Simone and Andreoli, and this one is called Vicebomb. So very quickly, let's have a look at the notes that this one is having. So according to Fragrantica, on the top we've got cherry, red fruits, caramel. In the middle there's vanilla, sugar, and ylang ylang. And finally in the base there's tonka, amber, and precious wood. So this one is quite something different. It's a dedication to a beautiful cherry note, of course, but this cherry is not apologetic at all. This time around it's thick, sweet, gooey, and it reminds me of a sticky sweet cherry jam or syrup that's also mixed in with a bit of caramel and something woody. And you may think it's such a standard composition, and yes, it may be to a certain extent, but whenever I feel like smelling something straight sweet gourmand with a strong and natural cherry component, this is my instant no-brainer choice. Sometimes I wear this perfume when I drink tea or have biscuits, and then my ceremony is nicely complemented with the scent of something extra delicious and cherry forward. So the whole experience is even more pleasant. And the final fragrance for today's podcast will be gorgeous release, underrated release, I thought, which is called Oyedo by the house Diptyque. So let's take a quick look at the notes that this one is having. So according to Fragrantica, on the top we've got mandarin orange, yuzu, lemon and lime. In the middle there's thyme, and finally in the base there are woodsy notes. So this one is truly unique. According to Diptyque, this fragrance has a note of raspberry leaf, which is missing on Fragrantica. Instead, thyme is listed, as we may have seen. But I really feel and detect strong raspberry dimension in here. But this raspberry vibe is not your straight fruity territory. It's more of a fruit together with the herby vibe of leaves and stem of the whole bush. And you know how that raspberry bush is quite thorny. So what I'm probably smelling is extremely, ripened raspberry mixed in with the thorny greenery of its own bushes. So this scent, on the other hand, is not a bit green. Green effect shows up more in the form of some menthol-like effect, to the point that when I spray this perfume, I feel distinct mentholated cold effect on my skin. So this perfume is so beautiful to me, and it's your powdery sweet natural raspberry with a bit of menthol effect. But that's it, guys. This is all for today's podcast. If you've liked this podcast, please give it a like. Please consider sharing your comments and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.